Hello, hello. Welcome to our Sunday show. We're back. We're being consecutive. This is amazing.
I'm getting dizzy of the consecutiveness. It's amazing.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. We're going to need one of those signs, 0 weeks missed or something like that. Mm-hmm. Don't speak too soon, I guess.
Yeah. I missed you last week, though. I missed both of you last week because I was driving home. Yeah, I was driving home while you guys were on.
Where were you driving from?
I was in Ottawa. I went to visit my sister, and my nephew's wife had a baby shower. So I took my elder daughter as well as my mom, my 90-year-old mom, with me. So we had to make frequent stops on the way to and from Ottawa. But my younger daughter stayed back to watch my mom's dog. So she was the dog sitter the whole weekend. So
that's nice.
It was lovely. It was lovely.
I just thought the term baby shower was weird. I mean, a bunch of people getting together to watch a baby bathe. Come on. It's just disgusting.
Oh, you're funny, Trevor.
I've never been invited to one, so
but you're just on the opposite end of like the whole 6 kids that you have. You're not the important part of that.
No.
Well, nobody ever threw me a dad shower, or anything like that. So
They should have a dad shower.
There should be one. So
yeah, but what do they do for that? Like really, what would you do? Like it would be like, I don't know, what would you have at a dad's baby shower? You can't take exactly. Well, like what?
Barbecue? I don't know. What do they have at baby showers? I would, yeah, probably like
we have stupid games where we wear like balloons on our head and get lots of gifts and stuff. So.
You wear balloons on your head?
Well,
it's a thing, yeah.
It's a thing. I think that the men's baby shower should have put the crib together, so you all get together,
There
and
you go.
put the crib together and set up the baby swing and all that stuff.
Just call my buddies over. Hey, I got some chores to do.
Paint the room, do all of that stuff, like all of the stuff that needs to be created. So
I see how it is. Yeah. Okay.
That's what you need. Let's So this show is going to be kind of interesting. I'm excited about this one. This is going to be kind of fun. Why we question our clients, because a lot of times we get sometimes people don't quite understand why we're not just happy dappy showing up at the client's house with all of our equipment and going, here we are. we're ready to do an investigation. And a lot of people don't understand, like, why are you asking us all these questions? Why is there a questionnaire? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Like, shouldn't you just come over to our house and do what you do, right? And so I think this is a really good idea to explain to some people, but also talking about how clients have possibly, lied in the past or misrepresented a lot of things, or, our favorite one, which is always people that enjoy being haunted or they want to be haunted. And that can be the most difficult of the clients, right? So yeah, let's get into it. Do you have a set of questions that you ask people? Let's start there. Who wants to go first?
Go for it, Trevor.
So the way ours is set up, it's all online, and we just gather. They have to fill out a request form. It's really basic stuff that just, name, address, then history of what's going on, why they want us out there, and then they'll usually, it's always me. I'm the one that always gets to make the phone calls. And usually I just let them tell the story if there is a story, and then what it is that I ask them what it is that they hope to get out of it, of us coming out there, and why do you want an investigation done? sometimes the answer is obvious. They really have something they think is going on. They really want to get some answers. They want to have that peace of mind. A lot of other times though, you can kind of figure out pretty quick they're just wanting a little entertainment that night. Something to go out with friends, things like that. But yeah, for me, on the phone, at least, every single phone interview I've ever done is different, just depending on the person on the other end and what they're telling me and, what I am picking up through the phone, whatever the vibe is, and going through there. So it's very rare that I will absolutely refuse to investigate somebody's house, but there's a lot of times where I'll kind of hint that it may not be necessary. So,
right,
because I think a lot of clients don't understand the amount of work that goes into an investigation. Because they watch it on TV and it's all this nice little clean 30-45 minute segment, and they're in, they're out, no big deal. They go to commercial break, they come back, all the evidence review is done, and they're ready for the reveal.
And the evidence and all the instruments are set up and everything is done.
Yep, everything is magically set up, and it takes us an hour and a half just to set up our equipment. It takes at least an hour to break it down. And then, so if we investigate for 5 hours and we have 5 pieces of equipment out, then we've got 25 hours of review that we have to do. So, and we never have that little of equipment and time on an investigation. So we are typically in the 100-hour range of review for my team. So, so for people that call and say, well, I think my house is haunted. Okay, what makes you say that? Well, I just feel weird here. Okay, have you had any experiences? No. Any voices? What's it? No. So what makes you think your house is haunted? Well, I just feel weird here. So, yeah, it's probably not something I want to take my team out and make them blow a weekend and
waste a weekend on kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, so, with our team, we haven't investigated for a long time. Like, we haven't been active. But when we did do investigations, we actually had a pretty extensive form that we did send to clients, whether it was through email or whether, we got them to fill it out when we were there in person. And it was fairly extensive, and it even went into, medical history to some degree. We didn't need to know their full medical history or anything like that, but it did include such things as medication, like what medications they were on, because some medications absolutely can cause, confusion. They can cause hallucination. They can cause dizziness. It can cause, and especially if it's maybe perhaps like a wrong dosage, or, if it's a new medication, if they just started taking it, it can cause some, types of issues that might not be the paranormal, obviously, right? A lot of people always wondered why we asked if they watched, paranormal shows, or if they were into the occult in any way. And a lot of people couldn't, well, it was almost like, well, you're paranormal shaming us, kind of like that. And it was like, well, okay,
they get defensive so quickly.
To some degree we are, like, I'm sorry, but if you're sitting there and all you're watching is, The Exorcist, or, ghost hunters, like, and ghost adventures 24 hours a day, I'm going to question this. I'm going to question whether your reality is a true, is reality based kind of thing. Or, if you've, maybe you're just watching too much TV. Just turn off the TV for a week and see what happens. Watch all that paranormal stuff disappear, or watch a comedy maybe instead, right? But a lot of people couldn't understand that. It wasn't paranormal shaming by any means, but they're things play tricks on our minds, right? So it was questions like that. And if we always found that if somebody refused to fill it out, or they took their time, or they would say, oh, well, we'll give it to you when you get here. that's not working for us. Because we're the ones that still have to haul all of our equipment to your house, and we're not doing that, to find out that you're just higher than a freaking kite half the time. And and by medication at that time when we were investigating, weed wasn't legal in Canada. Although I to be honest, I don't know if where I would be on the somebody that's smoking weed at 24 hours out of the day. I don't know where I would be on that right now, because of the fact that whether it's legal or not legal, it has an effect on your brain. So
Agreed.
whether we want to admit it or not, everything we put into our body affects us in some form or another. So, yeah. How about you, Lynda?
So
sorry, Trevor, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to tie into that because so we do that. We do a very extensive interview with the client, but that's not the initial part. So we will sit down. So what we do is once we decide that we're going to go out and visit somebody and set up the investigation, I will go out and I will do a preliminary walkthrough of the home, and I will interview the family or the client at that point. And we'll sit down for a good hour and a half, 2 hours, just talking, and I'll get to know them. They'll get to know me. I'll get to see the house first so that I know that what we're walking into before we get there. I think that's really, really important because there's a lot of people that are just hoarders, or they're just, they're really, really dirty. And there's people, I'd be really happy to investigate here. However, before we do that, this is going to have to get cleaned up because this is dangerous, and I'm not going to put my team in here because it's just, it's not safe. I have told people that, but yeah, I agree. There are, I think I heard somewhere once like 40% of people are under medicated, 40% are over medicated, and 20% need to be medicated. So, so the reality of it is that there is a lot of things that medication can cause, and a lot of times if we can get to the bottom of that pretty quick, finding out if, the missing doses and stuff like that, and again that just kind of comes down to the how open those people are going to be with somebody they just met. When we tell them why we're asking these questions, then usually that helps. What it comes down to, regardless, though, is like whether they are schizophrenic or they've got these underlying medical issues, or even if they're just freaking on meth, they are experiencing something. There's something going on that they need some sort of help with. And it may not necessarily be an investigation type of help, but it's sometimes it's just somebody they help talk them down. It's like, hey, calm down. You're going to be okay. This is probably what's going on, and why don't we give it a week and stop doing what you're doing, or go see your doctor, whatever. Then let's revisit this a week from now and see where we're at. So
I totally agree with 99.9% of what you just said. 100%. I do. There was times where, as that there are people that just, even if something is going on, they're going to cling to that person that comes to the rescue, I guess is the best way to say it, or the one that's there to communicate. And, sometimes, like with all of us, like there comes a point where you do have your own life and you can't attach yourself to, there's been, clients in the past that did have like a form maybe of schizophrenia, or maybe they, had some sort of mental issues that were going on. And I've no offense to them or anything like that, because, nobody's perfect by any means. But there comes a point where I don't want to deal with that shit. Like in my own personal life, like, you know what I mean? It's not my job, or, well, we're not getting paid for doing this. You know what I mean? So not to be unkind about it or anything else, but it's not my place. It's not my job. And at the time I had young kids, and that I've got other things to do than sit there and talk to somebody who should seriously be medicated and be talking to a doctor. not to me. I'm not their friend. I'm not their buddy. I don't want to be their friend, not because of that they have schizophrenia or any other mental condition. It's just we're not friends. I'm here for a particular reason. I was talking to you for a particular reason. I don't need to carry it beyond that. That's where I leave it. And, and so there is that point of separation that you had to create for yourself, for your own boundaries, your own protection, your own livelihood, whatever it is. And the thing is one of the things that I've really discovered, especially doing readings and stuff, is just going into this field here, one of the reasons why I only do readings through video now. I used to take clients into my home, and I would have people come to my house and stuff like that, and I stopped it completely, simply because of the fact, I can't get people out of my house sometimes.
Yep.
Right, like they won't leave, like, you know what I mean, like their session is up and they'll keep freaking talking, and you can't get them up and out. And second of all is because now they know where I live, or they think that I owe them something, or they think that we're friends, or whatever it is. And so when you take that into, like, this field in general is very, it's not a normal field. Obviously, you're dealing with supernatural, paranormal, things that aren't of normality, right? For the most part. And so, for me, I found that it was, if you start to become, I guess, a sounding board for some of these people, for some of the clients that we did, you're never getting your life back, because they're going to keep calling you all the time. Or, and if you don't answer the phone, then, then what happens? Well, okay, then they're leaving you a bad review on your Facebook. Like it's basically coming down. Now I got to block this person here. I got to block this person here. I actually had to take one client. We had one client that I actually had to take. I had to take all of their voice messages down to the police station, and we had to get the police to go and talk to them, because this person was claiming basically that they were being haunted by the devil himself, and that we refused to help. And he was calling me all sorts of names from A to Z and everything in between, back and forth. And it was repeated calls. And when I blocked the number, it started from a different phone number and a different phone number. So it was repeat. And this was in the middle of the night. This was during the day. I had, like, there was probably like 100 messages on my phone. Let's for reality's sake, let's say probably closer to 50 to 60. Okay. So I had to actually take those to the police station. Thankfully, one of the ladies on our team did work for victim services. So she was one of our investigators, worked for victim services. So she knew a lot of the police there. And, she also worked for the legal end of she worked for legal. Let's just say that. I don't want to say too much, but yeah, so we had to take it down to our local police station, and we played them all the messages, and they were just like, whoa, like this is scary. And they had to go and talk to the person and basically create a file and say, look, if you continue, we're going to put a restraining order, and it's going to escalate from here. And so that's where my but I had learned a long time ago, this is where I cut it off. If I can't help, I'm not here to coddle you or cater to you or anything. Like I'm not a trained medical doctor, so I can't, you know what I mean? If it's not paranormal, I'm out of here. Sorry, but it's not my job to sit there and cater to your hallucinatory behavior. Like it's not my job to do that. Yeah, I've got my own life, Nope. So that's about the only thing that I would personally take a step back on, just simply because it did escalate to that point, and just other little things that we had happen that could be really scary, quite honestly.
Yeah. Well, people wonder, and it's true. I mean, they wonder why we ask so many questions. And with us, like, I printed it out, but we have this online. So this is our intake questionnaire. It's our client intake questionnaire. Normally when people reach out to us, we, of course, we communicate with them however way they want. If they want us to call them, that's fine. If they want to do so through email or messenger or however they want to communicate, that's cool too.
Yeah.
But there are 40 questions that we have on our client intake questionnaire. And we sat down as a team and really looked at what we needed these people to think about. And I think that's the issue. And I'm sure you'll agree. Some of the questions that we ask them are questions that they wouldn't even think of themselves. And if they're really having a problem in their home and in their lives, they will not say, oh, that's crap, I don't want to answer any questions. They want help. And they want us to actually give them some food for thought. And all of these questions are really to help not just us, but the client, because often when they answer these questions, they'll figure out why things are happening by themselves, especially when we ask them questions like, okay, so, all right, this is a good example. Here we go. Have there been any life-altering transformations or upheavals? If so, please describe the specifics below. Or for example,
that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're going to go, oh yeah, like, oh crap, I got a new job, or we just moved, or something happened. My son is having a really difficult time, or something like that. And I mean, we also ask them questions like, for example, do the occurrences happen only when you are there or when others are present? Please explain. So sometimes you just need a little bit of a push to understand a little bit more about why something's happening, right? So I find that it's really important to ask these specific questions. And one of the questions that we ask is, do you engage in any kind of divination? So use tarot cards? Do you use crystals? Do you use a Ouija board?
You're crystal shaving. No, I'm just
right. And I mean, but sometimes, people don't really understand that if you open yourselves up to that kind of frequency, that others might be attracted to that frequency. And that might be the reason why something's happening. But so many people will say no, because they don't want us to know that maybe they've been, having sleepovers and playing with the Ouija board and not understanding that it could possibly have caused a situation to be happening in their home. And they're embarrassed, right? They're embarrassed. They're upset.
So just to clarify, because I do use tarot cards.
Yes.
Obviously, is one of the divination tools that I do use if I wish to use them. But the thing is that they're not, we should clarify, they're not evil. None of these things are evil. There's no evilness behind them. The devil isn't, embedded in our freaking tarot cards or anything like that. There's no demons in our cards. There's no, et cetera, et cetera. Like, because a lot of people get very confused about that, right? But what happens is that when you're using them, you're listening to some degree, you're listening, or you're looking for a message, or you're looking for a symbol or a signal or a message or something that's coming, that's not from you, from inside of you. It's coming externally from somewhere. And whether it's through a tarot card or something. And it doesn't mean that it needs to be through spirit. It's just that it's an external message. It's kind of like, if you see a billboard, that's an external message, right? That's not a message from inside of you. It's an external message. But what that can do is, as we open up that energy, yes, other things can come through. It doesn't mean that they're evil things, or that, it doesn't mean that they're happy, positive things either. It just means that, it opens up that energy, and we got to be aware of the opening of that energy in general. It doesn't mean that it's bad. It doesn't mean it's good. It's just a opening of the energy.
Right. And I mean, and the point is, if they're not honest with us when we ask that question, when they read the question on the intake questionnaire, they don't say, yes, I've been using divinatory materials
Right.
or anything like that. We usually find out anyway. And we don't
Big stack of tarot cards sitting on their table.
Right. But the point is, we don't shame them. We just basically ask them what their intention has been as they're using these things. And they can be certainly used for good. They have to be used correctly. And, if they have used them and they don't understand how to use them properly, then we can explain that and we can help them with that. But they have to be honest with us. And I think this kind of weeds out, I think a questionnaire weeds out people that maybe don't really need their houses to be looked at in, a paranormal way. And I think, Trevor, you're absolutely right. When you say, yeah, like it weeds out those people that are just in it for, oh, well, geez, I got nothing to do on Saturday night. And I'd really like to have a team come over with cameras and fun little buzzers and whir things and just kind of, I don't know. I think a questionnaire really does help, but there are some questions that baffle people. And I think, we have to do a good job as investigators to explain to them why we ask specific questions. Like the question about, has there been something in your family, something in your home, some upheaval, something in your life that has happened to you? Because that if there is something, for example, maybe a marriage has broken up, and they're newly single, or they're a newly single mom, or single dad with kids. They could be depressed. They could change, their whole environment, which can, of course, upset the apple cart. And then, sure, paranormal things can happen, but not everything is paranormal. And that's the thing that we have to kind of figure out with these clients. They might think it's paranormal, but is it really, right?
I like when Trevor said that they went over and you guys spent a good amount of time with the people also, simply because you're looking at them like you can see their responses on a true basis rather than just, reading about it or reading their answers. Did you find that while you were there with them in person that it, I don't know, changed your view, I guess, a little bit, or did you discover anything that was like, whether
I like
paranormal or not?
what I like to be able to do in those situations is mostly I get a feel for the home or for the building, for the place that we're going, and get to see who's all there. Our latest case involved a single mother and two kids, and so I took was Cody, and I went over to this lady's house, and we just sat with their family for an hour, couple hours, and just talked. And we went through a lot of these questions and try to gauge what was really going on, and and things like that. And even from the beginning, we knew that everything that they were talking about wasn't really adding up, as far as there was a lot of mass hysteria going on, a lot of, just feeding off of each other and things like that. And we went ahead and proceeded with an investigation anyway, and we did get some evidence, nowhere to the degree that they were claiming, and and pretty much nothing that they were claiming we really find. But we just did a second investigation in that home, and I always recommend any team that if you do one investigation, you need to do at least two investigations, because regardless whether you missed something or you did get something, get a chance to go back and try to recreate it, try to debunk it, set your cameras up different, stuff like that. And we were actually able to take a lot of the stuff that we got the first time and say, okay, now we know what this is. It's not evidence. But the other thing we did too is we invited the kids to stay for part of the investigation as well. And we discovered that a lot of what the kids were doing was trying to set mom up to make it look like things were haunted, So we had one little guy that he would try to sneak away from everybody, and of course everything's on camera. We have cameras everywhere set up already, and he's like putting a figurine on this thing in front of the camera, and then he run back downstairs and look at the monitor like, oh, where did that come from? I didn't, that type of stuff, So, and again, that helps us help the mother. We can kind of, say, okay, this is what we think is going on. Is there something going on? Yeah, there seems to be a little bit of activity that we're catching here. However, it's nowhere near to the degree that you think it is.
Right.
So,
right.
But, mostly just being able to get out there. Again, for me, it's a safety issue too. Like I talked about, I want to see what we're walking into.
Yeah.
I've also had it where, it's when I ask people, what it is that they want to get out of the investigation. And a lot of times people say, oh, we just want to know what's going on, or we want it gone. I love the ones that want it gone because I had one client in particular that was that thing. And so, well, we want it gone, but we've tried everything. We can't get rid of it. We've tried a bunch of people and said that they could help us and it won't go away. So I went out and take a look at where they were living. And, and I'd ask them, are you into anything occult or, anything like that? Oh, no, we're not into any of that stuff. We can't be because they were, I think they were up for adopting foster kids or something like that. So they have to be on the level. Well, I got into the place and there were just books on witchcraft everywhere. And I'm not saying all witchcraft is bad, don't get me wrong, but there was just a lot of that stuff. There was a lot of like animal heads in this one room with cobwebs just going all over the place. The basement was just, they wanted us to investigate the basement. And I looked down there and it was just solid spider webs and cobwebs. So I took a broom and I went down there and took out all the cobwebs. It looked like a cotton candy stick when I was done with it. It was
God.
Thick.
Yeah.
And then I found things like she was keeping like pickled baby pigs. They were just baby pigs in a jar, And she got super upset when I confronted her about it. And I said, I understand, it's like, maybe you're not practicing any of this stuff or whatever. And she goes, no, I just like it. I just think it's cool decoration or whatever. I said, I understand that, but also understand that, this could be some of the issues with your activity here and why you're having a hard time getting rid of whatever you got here because it likes it.
Yeah. Hell, you could have arachnid down there, like some massive giant.
That's funny.
On top of everything else, that could be part of her paranormal activity going on.
It makes sense.
But people that that want things gone, but aren't willing to make some changes in their home to help things move along.
Well, they want you to do it. Right?
That's probably one of my biggest frustrations is just, it's like, I know what's going to work. I know what's going to help you, and, there's people that's like, no, I'm not going to change this. I'm not going to get rid of this. Then you're probably going to continue to have issues. So it's just.
Oh my God, that is so true. Because we do a preliminary walkthrough. People will answer these questions and we go over and we talk to them as well and see what the environment's all about. And you're so right. We have a clairvoyant on the team and she will clear houses that need clearing. And it's so funny. There are a few cases that we've worked and she's been on the team since the beginning. So, and we look at each other, we get another email or another message from these clients going, we're having activity again. And we'll go back and we'll see the same kind of stuff that you're describing. Yeah. It's like, maybe you might want to rethink all of this stuff. You're attracting it again. It's kind of like, the person who just keeps doing it and you get to the point, little boy who cries wolf going, okay, stop.
Yeah. We had this one client, I remember we had gone over there and we could, you could tell there was a little bit of activity or something going on. Nothing major though, you know what I mean? And that's what they wanted too. They wanted it cleansed. And we're like, well, that's not our thing. Like, we don't do cleansing. Like, we can walk you through it. We can be with you while you do it, but it's stronger if you do it on your own. or, for yourself. Like we're not here to, wave a magic feather around and bibbity boppity boo, make it go away. Like this
you have a magic feather?
I want one.
Yeah. Hello. Don't you?
Where'd you get it?
And my magic,
Was it like
and my magic water
Yeah.
bottle too. My magic water bottle and my feather. but like, and then she was like, oh, okay. She said, what did she say? She says, I have a neighbor who, does stuff like that. And I said, well, it's probably not a good idea. She said, my neighbor's really religious. She could probably help. And I said, here's the thing, probably not a good idea. Like, let it be for a little bit. Like, just try to not, pay attention to it. It's nothing major that's going on. It's, it's pretty minor stuff. Like, we'll do an investigation. We'll walk you through a cleansing, that kind of thing. We'll be here while you do it. Like, we'll help you with it, all of that stuff. No, she couldn't do that. That was too much to do. So her next door neighbor, who was, Bible thumping, coming over, like literally came over and smacked the Bible a few times around the house, apparently. And like, that was her ritual, and screaming and yelling and the whole bit. And, the power of Christ compel you, that kind of nonsense, from The Exorcist. Like, basically somebody's been watching way too much TV. That came over, and sure enough, what happened? Well, the minor activity that she was receiving started, escalating a bit. But we said, look, what? Sorry, but here's the thing, is that you didn't listen to us. We asked you very nicely, like, just to wait, 24, 48 hours, because we were going to come back. And it was like literally that night that she had the neighbor come over and do this. And we said, here's the thing, is that we're bringing in a team, we're bringing in equipment, we're bringing in our time, our energy, all of this. And if you think that your neighbor can do a better job, well, let her prove it to you now, because we're out of here. We're done. And, sometimes you just have to release that energy and go, okay, sorry, but you know what? It's our time and energy that's coming in here, and we're not getting paid for this. We have to get babysitters. We have to, find the time to do it. We have to pack up our cars and our vehicles, and all of that stuff. And we're the ones that have to sit there through hours of evidence. For what? For you to bring over your neighbor who's going to,
That's funny. But
if you couldn't wait 24 hours,
well,
then what's that going to say, right? Huh?
People can't do that. I mean, yourself that some people will contact you and they want you there immediately. It's like Paranormal 911, right? They want that direct.
How come you're not here now?
Right to the Ghostbusters. They want it immediately, like right now.
In your car driving
right now. They don't seem to realize, right, that we have families and we can't be there immediately. I know that some of them are really scared, but again, this is what we do out of the goodness of our heart. We have jobs and we have families and we can't do it. And often we have teams who have jobs and families, and you've got to plan when you can actually go over and do a preliminary. So you can't just drop everything. And that's the thing about this particular field that is so different from other fields, because other fields like Trevor, if you're a paramedic, you call because you can't breathe or you need help immediately. You will go. It's a matter of life and death. People do believe that the paranormal and all of these experiences that they're having are matters of life and death. And in some cases, if they're being attacked by something, for sure, yes, but again, it's not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah.
And just for everybody out there, insomnia is not a reason to call 911.
Right.
Don't do it. So for us, we've had because I've got several people that on my team that are retired, and then I'm home most evenings I'm home. So we do have like a team that we could put out right away. Usually I can just make a few phone calls. Hey, are you
Right.
available? Yeah. But on that caveat, again, this is something that we would do after we have talked to them, after we've already set up an investigation or something like that, or we've done an investigation for them. And typically we only do it when there's children involved. And if it's like something that's really, really freaking them out right at that moment, because if they have, because in my opinion, like if they're having activity like right now, then maybe it would be a good time to go. I'm not going to set up like for a full blown investigation. I'm going to take some very basic equipment with me, a handheld camera, a recorder, a millimeter, and I'm going to call it good, and just go out there and see, and most of the time we're just going out there and just sitting with the family and letting them calm down, and usually it's pretty amazing just how having somebody else come in there that you have faith in that is going to be able to help things calm down,
Right.
how well that works. Because I tell people all the time that dealing with things that are really, really paranormal, it is a game of will. It is so much a game of will. It's so much a mindset thing that, these things like to mess with you. And so the real malevolent ones, they just want to get a rise out of you. They want to feed off that negative energy. And the moment that you can know that you understand that they don't have power over you, but you have power over them, and, that they lose that they lose that feeling that that rise that they're getting out of you, and things will calm down usually. So I was just thinking back to a couple of the cases that I've had, and one involved a 13-year-old autistic kid, and he was just having the time of it. And they were having legitimate activity, not to the level that they originally thought, but I mean, we were able to go in and show them this is what's going on, this is what's real, this is what's not real.
Right.
Sat down with gained a really good rapport with the kid. And we went out there a couple of times, like in the middle of the night, just like, hey, can you get out here? And he's, yep, sure, no problem, we'll come and take care of that. And we would go out there and calm things down. And yeah, so, but every team's got to figure out what they're willing to do, and what they can do. And and I'm with you, our team, we don't cleanse homes. We won't do cleansing, because cleansing, like you said, in my opinion, it's a very personal thing. Again, it's got to come from the person that lives there. It's got to be something that they know is going to work. Like, they know the sun's going to rise in the morning. That's when it works, and whether you've got to burn sage or you just got to say a prayer, whatever you believe in, that's going to give you it's
going to give you that power.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you something. One of the reasons we actually don't cleanse, this is kind of interesting, so I'll try and keep it short, but we had this one, it was actually one of my very first cases on this team. And we had a medium on the team, and I was like brand new, and I was just starting to understand a lot of my abilities as well, like, because my abilities didn't really carry over into the paranormal ever. They were separate entities. You know what I mean? It was like, I knew when the phone was going to ring, or I knew this, or I knew that, or I could tell you about your boyfriend, or you know what I mean? It was different, but it was not in the paranormal field. So this was like a whole different thing for me. And we went to this one place, and there was a mother, her two daughters, and the stepfather, and his two boys. And we got there, and I never ever, like I said, I was brand new to this, so I thought I was like out of my mind crazy. Like, I was just like, the hell is this thing? We were walking through the house, and I could see this lizard looking thing. It was like, I've never seen anything like that. And I can't explain it to you in a way that might make any sense. It wasn't solid, it wasn't solid, like watching a walking alligator or anything like that, but you could see it. I don't know how to explain it, but it was more like in my mind's eye kind of thing. I could see it, and I thought, what the hell is this thing? But I just watched a little bit of it, and I kind of just kept it to myself because I thought maybe I was going nuts or something. But so we were sort of walking around the house, and everything just felt really off. The father felt especially really off, and he was the one that apparently was receiving a lot of the paranormal activity that was going on. Now we went down into the basement, and we found the kids' rooms and the girls' rooms. They were sharing a room downstairs. There was locks on the outside of their door, not the inside, outside. And when you opened the door, there was a pair of panties there, and for some reason I just got the weirdest, I don't know how to explain it, but you just felt sick, and so anyway, we took our notes, talked to everybody, did our walk around, all of that, and we left. And the medium that we had on the team, he said, I've got to tell you guys something. And he goes, I've never seen this in my entire life. And I said, because I had written everything down, I kept my own notes. I was trying to, I was new, right? So you're keeping notes and you're doing all of that. And I said, can I just show you? And like what I got on my notes? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, well, does it have to do with a big freaking lizard? And I'm like, right here. Yes. And he goes, and he says, here's the thing. He goes, this is one of the reasons why I don't believe in cleansing. And he said, simply because that thing was there for that father. It was there to help the children more than it was attacking the father paranormally, because that's all it can do. Right. And so now they're calling us in. We really can't do anything about this case. There's no proof. Obviously, we can't go to the cops because of the fact that, what did we say? Oh, we saw a big giant lizard when we were there doing paranormal walk around. Like, what I mean? Like, that's not going to go over so well, right? But you could tell that there was something obviously going on with this stepfather and these two stepdaughters. There was something that was wrong. And just the way the girls acted, the way the father acted, we're both picking up on the same thing. And we just decided we're not going to do this. This is not a case for us. But, we're going to have to, quietly bow out of it. But at the same time, you could, it's a very thin line. Like, I mean, what do you do, right? Like, how do you don't want to leave these girls there in this type of predicament, but at the same time, you have no proof. There's no physical proof of anything going on. About the only thing we could have done is sent a letter to social services saying, da da da, leave it at that.
Some concerns.
Right. And and leave out maybe the part about the big giant lizard that we both saw. But here's the thing, is that this father had even claimed that he had, the scratch marks, like, this thing was going after him. And so that did give us a little bit of, like, I don't know how to explain it, like a little bit of relief, I guess. Anyway, so a few days later, she ended up calling us. Well, we had told her pretty much the next day and said, look at, we don't feel that there's enough for an investigation at this time. That's all we could really do at this point, right? We didn't want to get involved, in that sense. Also, too, is because there could be legal issues that come out of this. And that could jeopardize us, right? But what we ended up, so we told her that. Anyway, she ended up calling us a few days later and told us that he couldn't take the paranormal activity anymore, and him and his boys moved out, and she got rid of him. And she goes, the house has been clean and silent ever since then. So this is why we don't do cleansings.
And that's also why you go and do preliminary investigations too, preliminary walkthroughs, so you can catch stuff like that. So
exactly, because there was so many layers to all of this that, I have, in my own personal business, I will white light a house, but that doesn't remove anything. It's not cleansing anything particularly. What it's basically doing is allowing, what is supposed to stay, what's not supposed to be there, it can kind of move out. a little bit or gives it different energy. It kind of cleanses the place, but not in the same as a cleansing. It's not the same type of energy, right? But we just don't believe in it. And that was, it was every time somebody would ask us, I would always think about this poor family and these kids. And you just think like, what if somebody did go in and cleanse this out?
Yeah. I mean, that's another aspect of it too, and I know we're talking about doing a show on cleansings and stuff like that. And
yeah,
my preference is to educate people enough that if there is something going on in the home and it's benign, that we just teach them how to live with it, and
right.
it's super simple. Usually it's just a fair acknowledgement. Hey, yeah, I know you're here. We're taking care of the house, whatever, we're good. You just stay over in your side. We'll stay on our side. No big deal. Everybody's happy. So
on that note, we are going to be doing a show on cleansings, but it's not about us particularly always doing them too. It's like teaching people, like, this is how you can do a cleansing, or this is, different ways and different methods of cleansing. And that's going to be next week, just for anybody who's interested. It'll be lots of fun, but it's a different type of energy that we're bringing to that show. It's not about us going in particularly and doing everything for the client. It's like paranormal investigation, I find, is empowering to the client is what it should be. It should be empowering. We should be able to empower you to feel stronger within your home, that you're supposed to feel safe in.
It's like watching a scary movie for the first time when, you don't know what's happening and you're like, oh my gosh, and everything's scaring you. And then you go and you watch the movie a second time after you know what's going on now, and it's really not that scary anymore. So, I mean, that's kind of what we do, right? So we try to go in, try to provide some answers, show that, hey, we can survive a night here while we're actually trying to engage with this thing or whatever. And, it's not a big deal. And most of the time, it's not a big deal. Sometimes it is. It can be a bigger deal, but we can deal with those too. So.
Yeah. Well, although I have to say, all that said, there are clients that we've had in the past that are way too afraid to actually confront whatever is in their home, and they will not confront what's in their home because of the fear. And no matter how hard we try to tell them that it's all about empowerment and about intention and how only you can take your space back or your house back, they refuse to do it because of the fear. And sometimes it's so bad that they might have PTSD. They can't handle that particular feeling, and it's a trigger for them. So we will go in and help them, and we do have the means to do so. Our clairvoyant is amazing, but she will go in as she does this with the intention that's pure and that invites whatever is meant to be there to continue to be there. So any beneficial relatives, anybody that, sort of comes and pays them a visit, etc., will remain, but anything that isn't supposed to be there will leave. And she will explain to whatever energies are there that she's doing this for the client. And I think that's really a good thing, because some people can't handle it. They can't handle it.
And what it comes down to is, exactly. If they believe that you can help them, then you'll be able to help them. And that's huge. So, and I always talk about, how it's like, I'm not going to send a Mormon bishop to a Catholic's home to fix their problems, right? It's not going to work, right? But somebody that has already invested in your team, they know they've got buy-in, you've got rapport. Absolutely. The problem that I have on my team is I don't have anybody on my team that even talks about them being able to do such a thing to that level, and I think that there's some finesse, and there's definitely needs to be some understanding as to what's going on, in those homes. And I'm just curious, I only got five minutes left and stuff, and this is a whole nother, could be a whole new topic to us for us too, but I'm just curious, what is the wildest claim you've had from a client?
Oh, that's a good question.
Wow. The wildest claim. Oh my God. Oh, we've had some pretty wild ones.
I know I have to.
Yeah. Okay. So why don't you start, Trevor? Because I
Okay,
have a couple.
it was in my very early days as a very young, much handsomer investigator. And I was a brand new case manager. And I get this, we get a case that I have to call this person. And first off, that you could tell right away, I knew right away as soon as I started talking to them, they were high as a kite. But they were just like, everywhere I step in my room, I leave a footprint that's on fire.
Oh, no.
And just, he was walking it. Yeah. And I was like, well, I said, well, don't walk around your house. You're going to burn it down, buddy. So just, just like, what the heck? He's like, oh, my footprints are on fire. Yeah. Oh, that was a fun one. So we didn't go investigate.
Oh my God.
Cody asks, he says, we don't stress you out that much, do we?
I'm just going to leave that one alone.
Good.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. I had a wild one. This is back when I was doing all of this in Montreal, where some gentleman was convinced that there was a gnome that used to come out at night. And like, we're talking, this is like, what, 1980, 81? A gnome used to come out at night. And he was afraid that it was going to kill him. And I swear it was because he watched that show. Remember that show? What is it? Trilogy of Terror with the guy with the little knife.
I was just thinking, it sounds like something out of a bad TV show.
Yeah, Trilogy of Terror with Karen Black or whatever her name is. I swear. And that one was a little strange. And I think he was taking a little nip or two before bedtime. So I think that probably caused it. What about you, Kathy?
I think it kind of goes back to, well, there was definitely a few, but the one that kind of pops up probably is that house where the lady wanted that cleansing. She was claiming that her son was floating in his crib.
Oh God.
That was a little bizarre. She said that she would be sitting on the couch and she could hear, footsteps running around her all the time and stuff like that. And but then she'd say that she went into her son's room and that she found him floating in his crib. And I think she was just off her rocker a little bit too. But there was other evidence of other things that weren't too healthy. But yeah, that I would say that was probably one of them for sure. We had one lady that we thought that she was, what's that?
And that's why we have to ask these questions.
Yeah. There was one lady, she was an out of town client that we first went down there. Like we did talk to her a lot and stuff, over the phone, but we did go up to her place. It was in Slave Lake, right, which is a couple hours away from where we are right now. And she was having some issues for sure. And it comes to a point where it was really interesting because when you're walking in the house, sometimes you can feel that there's, and for me, most of the time I can feel like there's something going on, but I couldn't feel a damn thing, nothing. Couldn't feel anything. And I thought, maybe there's got to, like, something is going on here, like maybe it's not all, like, maybe a lot of it's in her head. That's what I was beginning to think. Like, there's got to, but then it was interesting because we were sitting there and we were both, and it was a single resident. So it wasn't attached to anything. There was nothing, like where you would hear this noise. But her and I were in the living room and we were talking, and all of a sudden I could hear something coming up the stairs right behind me. It was like literally like, and I thought, well, who's downstairs? And she's like, there's nobody here. Got up, looked around. Sure enough, nobody there. You go sit down. A few minutes later, it was like boom, boom, boom. And then all of a sudden, this ball fell off of the ledge that was by the stairs, and you could hear that going down the boom, 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 boom. And then you could hear it hit the wall. But like being picked up and hit the wall, like not hit the wall because it was rolling, like hit the wall, like it was a bang. I was like, okay, there's something going, but you could feel nothing. It was the weirdest thing. Like there was no feeling whatsoever. That made me a little bit nervous. So it wasn't like she was making stories up, but it was bizarre. it was bizarre. There was a lot of bizarre stuff that we were actually inside of the house at one point, and we were talking, and one of our team members suggested, why don't you guys just sit there and have coffee? Because it seems like when you're not paying attention to it is when things starts to stir up. So we were sitting there and we were just having coffee in the kitchen, and they were outside, all of them sort of recording from outside, and we got a message from over our walkie-talkie saying, are you at the window? We're like, no, we're sitting at the kitchen table. And they're like, okay, get out, get out now, get out, get up, go, get out of the house now. And apparently, like, because that was our team, apparently something was at the window, but not only that, the blinds all kind of, you know what I mean? Like those,
the mini blinds?
Yeah. They tilted like if somebody had picked them up and looked outside, and they were like, get out of the house now.
Yeah, it would have been the opposite. I was like, go up to this window and go take a look at what's going on.
The weird thing was that at that point, there was another incident with the dog. I know we're kind of going off topic. We're kind of going over, but there was another incident where we set up these cameras because her claim was that she has these little chihuahuas, and she had them in these big iron cages, or not iron cages, but those big wired cages or whatever. And they were pretty big cages. And she had one in each cage. And one of her claims was that when she would go out, she always put the dogs in the cages. And that when she came home, she would hear them like freaking out, like in the corner of the cages, and they were shaking and like they were literally scared. And it took them a while to calm down, and she couldn't figure out why. So we thought, okay, well, let's set up some cameras, for these dogs and see what happens. And we'll go out for breakfast and we'll watch when we get back and see what happens. And we could hear us leave. And then a few minutes later, the dogs were perfectly normal or whatever. And then all of a sudden you could see both of them go like this and look, and then you could hear like walking up to the cage, and you could see the dogs starting to shake and barking and whining and going into the back of the cage. And they pretty much stayed there a good portion of the time that we were out for breakfast. And when we got home, sure enough, they were shaking and shivering and the whole bit. And we could, it was freaky. It was freaky. So
that's weird.
Yeah. But what the interesting part is that we also were able to kind of figure out to some degree, because this woman had a lot of stuff that was going on in her personal life, and that really, really made a big difference. But we were sort of able, because of the fact that we couldn't feel anything, neither me nor the other medium. And I never mentioned anything to the other medium. It was the other medium that had said to me, look, you know what, the weird thing is, I can't feel a damn thing. Like usually I can pick up on what is in this house or what is going on. I can't pick up on anything. There's literally nothing going on. Like I cannot feel anything. So either this thing is really good at hiding or something is going on. But we were able to, we think that what was going on was it was herself that was creating a lot of the, creating a lot of this simply because of the fact that she had so so much going on. So much. I don't want to get into her personal life or anything like that, but there was an awful lot that was happening. And, it was interesting because we were able to talk to, the husband. He got back from wherever he was and stuff. And we were able to discuss it with him. And we had given them some really good suggestions. And he had actually messaged us about 6 or 7 weeks later, and said that it really helped, and that their house was in a better place because she was in a better place. Nice. But it's amazing how, what our minds can do, and obviously what our energy can do if it's in the wrong place.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah. And even more so, I mean, that you were able to help them get to that conclusion because of the questions that you've been asking.
Exactly.
Whole interview. I mean, that's why we do it. That's why we got to have those questions answered, so we can.
Yeah.
The more we understand about what's going on, the more we can help figure out why you're having those experiences.
Yeah, like that was our goal. Is we want her to feel like comfortable in her home. Like there was, and it's just a matter of figuring out what the hell is going on right now, because there was an awful lot, but anyway, guys, thanks for watching. We are going to be here next week where we're going to be talking about cleansings, different types, how to do it, all of that stuff. And we can't wait to see you. We're looking forward to it. And we wish you guys all an amazing week, I guess. Take care. All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.